Welcome to another WMMA Today podcast, edition number 5 with Drake Riggs and me, Steve. Let's get on with the show. Um, we have a lot to talk about. Invicta 40 was last Thursday. We will recap that, and then we will talk about this coming weekend's massive UFC 251
Fight
from
Island is
Fight
here.
Island card, and then plenty more to talk about. So let's get on with the recap of Invicta FC number 40. It was a hell of a show. Not a whole lot of fights, but they were exciting.
That they were. Yeah, we lost one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What was it, on weigh-in day? We lost one because Deanna Bennett got
Yeah.
sick or whatever.
Yep.
But that's okay. We got a nice little, just a little main card, essentially, right? 5 fights, just a serving of
Yes.
a main card here. And yeah,
Which, to be honest,
solid
is
show.
perfectly fine given the circumstances that we're in right now.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that we're getting fights.
Yeah, that Invicta's back at all. That's
Yep.
can't be upset with that. So, yeah.
Okay, so start with the main event. Emily Ducati ended up beating Juliana Lima. It was a 3-round war. Ducati won by unanimous decision. It was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I was very surprised kind of by how good Lima kind of came out, and Dakota started a bit slow, obviously, and that gave Lima the clear edge there in the first round, and then it was just kind of a shifting over the course of the fight. Lima slowing down with Dakota picking up because she needed to, and I thought that second round was actually extremely close. Like I was kind of back and forth on who I was going to give it to going into the
Yeah.
third, but everybody seemed to think it was very obviously Dakota, and I ended up still giving it to her. And then obviously the third round, it was like first was obvious, clear. It came down to the second round for me essentially. Very solid fight and a good rally by her because she was not looking good in that first round. Was able to overcome the gatekeeper, as we said last week. That's what Lima has become.
Yeah.
No shame in that. She's been around a long time. Had a fine career, but is what it is. So, solid win for Dakota. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was a good matchup. I think that Ducati showed her skill level. It actually, came out. And she took the best from Lima as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was. I don't remember Lima striking looking, as good or like
Yeah.
her able to have as much success as she did in that first
Right.
round in a good while. I mean, obviously, it kind of comes down to stylistic matchups and everything, but yeah, she really had her way. Like, didn't completely like dominate her or anything, but it was very clear, that she was getting the better of everything in that first round. So, yeah, she's still a very capable fighter and a good person to, I think, gauge where prospects are at. So, I would like to see her against, some rising fighters next, and I think that's just where she is now. It's a good spot for her to be. And as for Dakota, they're talking about, oh, she can fight for the title again. Like, I don't know. It's like, is there any point to even fighting for the title anymore? Which we'll talk about that. But yeah, I don't know where exactly she would go. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head right now because it's so hard to think of who's
Who's
readily
available?
available. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Matchmaking is a hell of a job right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly where she'd go. I really cannot think of anybody at the moment, but they'll find somebody, right? That's
Yeah.
that's essentially it.
And
So yeah.
Invicta, Shannon Knapp and Invicta, they do the best that they can with who they have. Um, they kick ass. I mean, that's pretty much they kick ass when it comes to putting on fights and kind of regrouping when something falls off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I totally forgot about this going into the fight, going into the card, that that they were going to do open scoring again. I didn't know if they were going to continue doing that or whatever, but
Yeah.
then we found out like a little bit before, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I didn't hear Dakota mention anything about it in like her post fight interview or whatever, but I
No,
wonder if that was a big
Zappitella did
thing.
though.
Yeah, she did, which um, yeah. So that was a fun little thing. But as for that co-main event, that was a very fun
Yes,
fight,
yes,
as we expected.
was
But
my main event going in. I
yeah, it was both of ours that we were most
yeah,
excited for.
yeah, knew that this was going
And
to be an absolute banger, and it was. These girls showed up. They threw down. Um, Man, it was such a fun fight. The scrambles, the Zappitella is just a little like missile. She just goes in and then goes back out when she has to, and it's crazy. Like it's love that
so
girl.
I'm assuming that you did score for Zapatella.
I did, and I know
Yeah.
that you did not. Right?
I did not. I do not think she won. I was kind of surprised by it. I don't think it was a robbery, but I was
No, I mean
surprised.
you can see both ways. If it would have went to Van Zant, I mean, I could have seen why it went to Van Zant. I just think that Zappitella did enough, and she did not just enough. She did a fuck ton on top of when she was on top of Van Zant. She took her down at pretty much at will. I mean, every time that she went down, every time that she went for the takedown, her wrestling is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's very very clearly her strong suit.
Yeah,
As we knew, and this fight played out as pretty much striker versus grappler.
yeah,
Um, but Lindsay's striking, I think, looked very very good here,
it
and
was
she was
solid. Yeah,
comfortable off her back in many situations, maybe too comfortable at times. She was really working up kicks and all
yeah,
that. But and she defended well, more as the fight went on. The first round was very obviously Zappitella. Problem though, one of these judges gave that a 10-8 round, which is absolutely ridiculous. That we'll say that was probably the worst part of the scoring for this one. Then the second round, for me, I think is kind of where you can hinge it, because the third round, Zappitella, I mean, obviously she admitted to it, that she knew she had it in the bag because the judges gave
yeah.
it to her going into the third. She was really just looking for takedowns, and she really, she got them a little bit and had some control, but that was it, man. She didn't really do any damage compared to Van Zant, and just wasn't working as effectively. I don't think. I was very surprised. I don't remember if there was a third. Is it say 30-27 right here on anybody? No, this doesn't say exactly what it was, but I thought Van Zant definitely won the third round, and then edged out the second round with a similar story, but more output from Zappitella in that second round. And I tweeted it out after, but even though she got the win here, even though Zappitella got the win, I feel like Van Zant has proven to be the more complete fighter. I mean, just her overall game wise, Zappitella just not as good on the feet. Her defense wasn't very good, I didn't think, but when her wrestling's as good as it is, she can get away with that kind of thing against certain opponents, as we saw, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think that her defense wasn't necessarily bad. I just think that she just wanted to fight. She was there to fight, and that's what she gave. That's what she gave was a fight. Um,
And the reach disadvantage doesn't help.
yeah, there's a massive reach disadvantage for Zappitella when it came to Van Zant, and she's gonna have that problem in every fight, unless if she's fighting somebody just as tiny as her. I mean, she's only 4'11". How long can she be with the 4'11" height? You know,
Yeah, there's not going to be many shorter than her.
yeah. I mean, there's not going to be anybody shorter than her. But given that she is so tiny, her takedowns were phenomenal. It really changed the way that the fight looked, and it really changed the fight in general. Those takedowns really just changed the fight.
So I do agree with that, but at the same time, Lindsay was kind of helping out a bit with how often she attacked with kicks to the body. She
Dude,
didn't really make that adjustment at any point
he
and
was
kept
reading.
paying for it.
Alicia Zapatella was reading every kick. I mean,
Yeah.
she saw the kick coming. Van Zant tried. Van Zant tried. It's just that I think Alicia's so small that she was, instead of kicking the leg, Van Zant was kicking the upper torso, like
Yeah.
the mid torso. So Alicia was able to get a hold of the leg and take her down. I mean, it's just a good fight by Alicia Zapatella. It was a smart fight.
I mean, she got the win for it. So that's
Right.
all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, and I do think that Alicia Zapatella won the fight, but props to Lindsay Van Zandt. She dug deep. I mean, she was on the losing end quite often when she was on the ground, when she was getting taken down. That can break a fighter, and it didn't break her.
Yeah, like getting taken down so many times and it just kind of
Yeah.
frustrates people, but she was never
Yeah.
deterred. No. No, very true.
Yep. Okay, so I just want to say that Alicia Zapatella, this should have been, to me, I said it before, this should have been for the vacant belt.
That would have made things interesting with 2 more rounds. That
Right,
would have been very,
rounds.
very interesting.
2 more rounds, we could be talking about Lindsay Van Zandt winning the fight. We don't know because we won't see that. I mean, we didn't see that. But now Alicia Zapatella, she's got to fight for that vacant belt. Whether it's Cummins, like you said, in last week, and then I think the week prior we talked about it, or somebody else. I mean, who else is there? So it's got to be Cummins, right?
I would think that they would still keep Ashley in that picture. I mean, she should be. She lost a very close fight to Jin, and so under weird circumstances too with the weight issue. So yeah, I mean, and that's a very interesting matchup too for Zapatella, somebody who's a pretty good wrestler in her own right and has
Yeah.
the experience and all that. Could be a tough one and maybe forces a fight on the feet. Yeah, that's a very fun matchup. Just belt or not, so
Yeah.
fine with that one way or another. Probably what should happen regardless of title or not.
I think so. You just know that that's going to be a grinding fight with those two. They're wrestlers. If you're not into wrestling, it's not going to be a fun matchup. I personally love it, so it gets me hyped.
Hell yeah. But if you aren't into wrestling, you might be more into what Chelsea Chandler did to Liv Parker's face.
Come on.
Segue.
We talk about the Stockton slap a lot. People say, the Stockton slap because of Nick and Nate Diaz. Chelsea Chandler threw the Stockton bombs. She
Yeah.
represented for Fat City, which is Stockton. She represented for us. Damn. I was very happy with the way this fight came out.
That was stunning. It was really surprising, especially she did exactly what she needed to do, right? Get in Parker's face and just make her uncomfortable and hurt her very early.
Yeah.
I didn't think she would be able to do it as successfully as she did, but that was obviously what she needed to do. And man, after like the first 2 shots landed, Parker just looked so lost on her feet.
She was out.
Just
She was out of it.
had nothing to
Yeah.
do, just kind of went into panic mode. And Chandler just, I don't know if she missed a strike. I mean, she was just came out there and decimated, man. It was really a flawless victory. Got the knockdown and then got on top. Threw a couple grounded pounds, I think, and then just went for the neck and got it. About as good of a win as you could possibly ask for. And, puts her in good spots in two divisions now. So,
Well, she did make a
big win.
fat call out.
Yeah, she did mention Pam, didn't she? which
She did mention Pam Sorensen.
which that's let's let's do one more fight. I don't know I don't want to say ready for Pam just yet after that. But hey,
I'm
I mean
down for it.
after looking, yeah, it's kind of like, again, during this time, it's kind of like fuck it. We're in that fuck it period, aren't we? It's like, whatever you can do, I guess we'll do it. So
Yeah. I mean, pretty
we'll
much
see.
that's what it boils down to. Any fucking fights will do, and quite frankly, most of the fights that we've seen have been entertaining. So, I mean, we're not watching Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou here. We're watching fucking fighters throw the fuck down, and Chelsea Chandler sure in the fuck did that.
Yes, she absolutely wasted as little time as she could, unscathed. It was a flawless victory. What do they say in Mortal Kombat?
Flawless victory.
It is flawless victory, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Oh goodness.
Okay, so there were two other fights. Trisha Cicero and Laura Gallardo, and then Junior Gooden and Shelby Corin. I did not watch the Gooden Corin fight. For some reason,
Oh yeah, our streams were all messed up at the
yeah,
beginning.
but
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I still wasn't able to catch that fight for whatever reason. I don't know what happened. I was there for the rest of the card for the other four fights, though. Thankfully.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what I was distracted by something too, and I missed a little bits and pieces of both of these fights. But Gooden and Corin, that was a really fun scrambly fight. They were kind of all over the place on the ground.
Right.
I can't say, I don't think it was a fine decision from what I'm remembering. And then the Gallardo one, I can't really say for that one either. I was really I don't know what I was doing, but these first two fights got a little clouded for me. I think that stream threw off a lot of people, and maybe we went out and we're just waiting and missed some stuff.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
2020.
But we did see, well, you and I saw 3 great fights
Yes,
after that.
exactly.
And Invicta will be returning with their 41st show next month.
Yep, that they will. So look forward to it. Good start though. We got some good moments there. Chandler, obviously. Zapata, Atomweight action, that's fun.
Yep.
Dakota looking solid.
That was exciting. I think that's a word that can be used with Alicia Zapatella. She's exciting.
Yeah, she's fun to watch. I mean, Atomweights in general.
Yeah, atom weights in general. And then we're going to talk about more atom weights.
Good segue. Good segue.
There's a tournament, actually. The Shuto 2020 tournament. It's the finale. Mina Kurobe versus Megumi Sugimoto. Good fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, they both got into the tournament, so they won their way here. Even though I don't have it up right now, but for some reason I feel like Kurobe did not compete through the tournament, but I know that Sugimoto did. So like she earned her spot, and I mean I'm fine with that either way, just because Kurobe has obviously been around. She's a top atom weight in the world, former Deep Jewels champion. 43, still hanging in there and fighting with the best of them. I think her recent losses have only come to Sohee Ham and um, maybe it was Toma Maesawa too. Either way, top atom weights, right? So the experience is very much in her favor here. Sugimoto is the one who has everything to gain. It's really going to be about, if she can hang, if she's ready to hang here. I mean, she earned her way through the tournament so far. That it started before the pandemic, obviously, and then they're able to finish it up now. Yeah, man, it's exciting to see potentially some more atom weights rising into the mix of people that are ones to watch out for. Because if you beat Kurobe, that's no joke. So
Yeah, I agree.
we will
And the
see.
shootout always puts on exciting fights as well. Kurobe, for as old as she is, she's still like a legit contender.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say that because I can't see her beating any of the top girls anymore, right? Like the top five and those, but
Yeah.
kind of like who's a good example? I don't know. I feel like she's kind of in a little bit of an atom weight Cerrone stage. I don't know if that doesn't. I don't know if that sounds right either. Somebody who's still able to stick around in the top, 15 of their division, but not
And
quite.
Cerrone is one of those people.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe that is good, but somebody like that, who's very capable of competing, doesn't exactly get completely destroyed every time they lose, and then win in weird fashion. That sounds all kind of messed up, but she's still a top 15. Let's just put it that way. So big opportunity for Sugimoto. Will be a very fun fight, I think.
No,
So yeah.
I agree. It's a good fight.
Hell yes. But oh boy,
Go ahead.
oh boy, breaking news. She's here. She has arrived.
So Drake dropped some breaking news this past week. As you can see on the screen, Invicta FC champ and Ryzen standout Kanago Murata signs with the UFC.
It is happening, dude. So, all right. So, when I was picking up on this and before getting it out and everything, initially I was like, oh my God, because I've been so high on Konako for so long, and
Mm,
anybody who's followed our show and me, especially the show, always giving her the praise that she deserves
right.
since she's, really been fighting and that we've been doing the show because she debuted in 2016 or whatever. So yeah, man, this was a matter of time. At least that was the hope, because gets to Invicta, becomes champion. Like, okay, that's a good sign that she's fighting in America, but still under contract with Ryzen. And, now that she becomes champion, makes her an even bigger star for Ryzen. The plan after, winning the title against Dakota in November sounded like she wanted to go back to and fight in Ryzen in the meantime, which, she was still under contract with them. But
And,
then things changed a little bit.
yep.
The idea initially here, I was told, was that it was supposed to be where Invicta was kind of the first step of the ladder, right? See, she gets to Invicta, Ryzen lets her go, compete in Invicta, wins, does well. Okay, then they'll let her go to the UFC, right? So that makes me think like if she would have lost, maybe they would have just kept her and hung on to her, grown her a bit more. Maybe she wasn't ready, but
Mhm.
obviously we knew she was capable. So yeah, very interesting, and I think it's very cool of them to, be confident in this not hurting them too much, if that makes sense. Because as I got the quote here, they said that they do believe that Kanako has a big possibility of becoming the first Japanese UFC champion. Agreed. And we are so proud to send her out for this challenge of going to the UFC. If Kanako becomes the first Japanese UFC champion, that would help us here in Japan and will benefit our industry in a bigger picture,
Absolutely.
which, is a very interesting thought process, I think, for an MMA organization in general, because it seems like not a lot of people want to play along. But I guess it shouldn't be surprising for Ryzen, considering they've been playing
Right.
along very nicely with Bellator.
Exactly.
If
But it's
anybody,
nice
yeah,
to see them actually work with the UFC, who is the top of
yes,
that of MMA. Why wouldn't they? I've never understood like why you wouldn't want your best going into the best promotion and fighting for the best promotion, letting them fight for the best promotion, um, and showing, look, we got some great fighters.
it shows that they, they're not. What's kind of the word I'm looking for here? They're not kind of. They're pretty grounded and down to earth about the reality of things, right?
Oh,
They're not like,
yeah.
they're not like one championship, for example.
They're a fun organization. Um, they're very open minded. It seems
Yes.
um, they are with the times. They're not stuck. They're not stuck in their own
Bubble.
bubble, right? Like which you said one. I mean, they kind of are. Um, although we did see one and the UFC kind of work out a trade,
That is true.
right? Which I mean shocked the MMA world. It shocked the MMA world. Whether we see it again, I'm not sold because
Yeah.
the UFC didn't get the best end of that.
I mean, there's the argument and the debate that I've heard of, or I just always think of James Lynch. Shout out to James and my man, um, bringing up how Askren's Askren being in the UFC really helped propel the star of
Jorge
Jorge
Masvidal,
Masvidal. That's
right?
really the
That's
biggest takeaway.
That's true. I mean, and James has always said that, and I see that. I very much see that viewpoint. I very much see that viewpoint. I just when you look at what Demetrius Johnson has done to what Ben Askren has done for the two
Yes,
promotions.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you weigh it out, and Demetrius Johnson has done a lot better than Ben Askren. I mean,
yeah.
he's still fighting, and Ben Askren is retired. So, I mean,
It's not close.
right,
Essentially,
it's
not
not. But
close.
again, I see what James is saying and has said from the very beginning. Um, I do understand what he's saying,
Yeah,
and I 100% agree with it. I get it.
yeah, yeah. So
But going
slightly
back
off.
to Ryzen letting the UFC or giving Murata this opportunity is fucking huge. It's such a great opportunity for the fighter and again for Ryzen. I mean, it's a showcase. This is our best, one of our best going into the best promotion. Now what
And
can you do in the best promotion? And she's gonna light it up.
in the best division, so many incredible matchups that I
Right.
mean, we already had so many incredible matchups. Now there's that much more now with the addition of Kanako there, and I mean, been saying it, since for the last couple fights now. But man, I just didn't see anybody outside the UFC beating her, so it was just like super logical, and it's
Yeah.
happy to see that they. I mean, I guess they haven't. If you look at things in the past, it shouldn't be so surprising because they've let their guys. They haven't handcuffed anybody like Bjorn Rebney did to Eddie Alvarez or anything like that. They haven't
Yeah.
made it a little hard to leave. I mean, man, first Yuri and Manel Cape, massive, two of the best fighters in the world that they had, let them go to the
Oh,
UFC now.
you're
And
in for
then
Travis.
speaking of,
Oh my
speaking
god.
of,
Just and what day are we on? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 fucking days. We get to see Yuri and
oh man,
Volkan
I'm
Ozdemir. My
so
goodness. And
excited.
I'm gonna do my own plug, like you do many times. I did write a
Shameless plug.
I did write an article. It's about the three cards that you don't want to miss. So check out For the Strap. WMMA.com if you haven't already. And thank you to those who did. I haven't written in maybe 2 months, and it felt really good to write again.
Hell yeah, man! Gotta get that out. And thank you to Alexander Dejonghe for the comment, saying keep up the good work, you guys.
We got two. We got two. We got
That was me.
two.
That was me.
Like back to back.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh,
I said thanks because you were talking.
thanks, Alexander. Since I can't write it.
But anyway, oh my goodness, I could not be more happy for Kanako here. And I did have a brief fear, but I'll talk about that as we continue because it kind of loops in. Something that crossed my mind that hadn't for a while. So Steven, I want to ask you, man, who would you match for her debut? I've seen, I think I've only seen Randa Marcos presented by, I think, Sean Bitter. Shout out to Sean, our former colleague at MMA Today. So
that would be a fun fight, and Sean knows what he's talking about. Sean is an incredibly intelligent MMA person. He knows what he's talking about. That's a fun fight.
Yeah, I do like that one too. I mean, I don't like it for Randa because I've always been a big supporter of Randa as well, and she's been one of my favorites. But stylistically, though, the seeing how the wrestling matches up with each other, obviously,
it would be fun.
Credential wise, it would be a very good debut fight for Kanako, I think. If as high of a spot as I would give her would be like back of the top 15, but Herrig's at like 15 now, isn't she?
Yep.
So, and I don't even think they'll do that. Probably somebody who's around like that 16, 7, the back in the 20 to 16 range. So Randa is probably in there. I mean, there's so many options at strawweight now. You know what would be fun actually would be to do Van Buren versus Kanako, just because that was the fight that we kind of expected to see in Invicta. See that one in Invicta for the title, but then Van Buren got signed to the UFC. So I kind of like that one for her debut, just because there's that history. I mean, you cannot go wrong. I'm not going to complain no matter what they give her. So, yeah, we'll see. It'll be very interesting.
And Van Buren is coming off of a loss.
That is true. So that might be,
I don't know if they would want to throw this beast in, again.
Yeah.
With Van Buren, I mean, she's coming off a tough loss against Tisha Torres.
Yeah, very true. So we'll see. Even though Kanako, I think she's hoping to get in there in September. I think that's kind of the aiming point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe late August. So, and that's like next month. So
that's only
September.
Next month,
September is ideal for like as much of a camp as you could ask for during this time. But
well, shit. Jorge Masvidal obviously doesn't need a camp.
Yeah, just saw him eating pizza. He better make weight.
Crazy, dude. Like this guy he amazes me, man.
The resurrection.
You think he baptizes Usman?
No, I do not.
It's tough. It's really tough to pick against Usman.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Okay, so we have fight news. Roxanne Modafferi is going to return, and she will be taking on Andrea Lee for the second time in September on the 12th. That is my mom's birthday. Won't be spending time with my mom on her birthday because the fight's on.
It's like I'll watch with mom.
She actually likes MMA, and plus she lives like 4 hours away. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, it's not as close as maybe you'd prefer, but it's okay. Yeah, man, we got this rematch here from I don't have Andrea Lee's record up right now, but was Roxy her first career loss, or did she lose to Dale Elio before that? Might have been one of her first two losses. I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, because they kind of threw Andrea Lee into the deep end in Invicta right from the get go.
they did.
I mean, obviously a very hot prospect, so kind of made sense why they did it, but obviously it backfired pretty badly. And here we are now, years later, and trajectories going in opposite directions, I believe, as I said on our recap of Murphy and Modafferi. And they're giving her, giving Roxy another, top flyweight, which I don't think is good for Roxy. I think this time it'll be different. If I'm gonna do an early prediction here, which I don't usually like to do, I think that Andrea Lee is gonna finish her. I really do. It's tough. So I just think that things are going in two different directions here. I'm
Yeah,
fine with the rematch though, like on paper and everything. I think it's fine matchmaking.
yeah. I mean, looking at the rankings, Modafferi is still ranked number 7, and Andrea Lee is ranked number 9. So rankings wise, it makes complete sense. Especially since the UFC wants Andrea Lee to. They want her to be in the top 5. You know, this is one of those fights where if Andrea Lee wins, then they can rank her top 5 maybe. While if Roxanne Modafferi wins, then she just keeps on rolling. I mean, at this point in her career, like you said, it's a tough fight for Roxy at this point, especially since from what we saw in the last fight, it's tough. That's a tough fight. Andrea Lee she's a beast, man. She gets a hold of girls and she uses that Muay Thai better than anyone in that division, other than maybe the Shevchenkos
Yeah, and JoJo's up there too, who we
and
saw them
Jojo
fight.
Calderwood
So
as well. Right.
it's interesting too because we very well could have seen this fight, this rematch happen, if the judges would have given that Lee versus Murphy decision to
Oh
Lee,
yeah.
which seemingly everybody did. I still have yet to rewatch it, but because I was at a party when I was watching it, so I was, not fully focused. But from what I remember seeing, I was fine with the decision. I do need to rewatch it fully focused on it though. But that seems like one people unanimously thought that Andrea Lee should have won. So if she would have won that, I'm sure we would have got this rematch anyway. So kind of cool to still get it here. And yeah, you think about obviously Lauren Murphy is really improving. Obviously, we have seen there's just proof of that. But Andrea Lee very competitive. That was a very good fight. The Lee and Murphy one. No matter if you think it was a robbery or not, that was a very good fight. Striking wise and everything. And Lee is just as good of still arguably a better striker even in that loss. And then they're both better than Roxy, so it'll come down to if she can get things down to the ground again, like she did in their very first fight back in the day. But Andrea Lee's takedown defense and just ground game overall has improved immensely since then. It was like she didn't really have too much,
Right.
back then. At least comparably, she was getting submissions, earlier in her career and everything. But defensively, she's much better.
I agree 100%. So Alexander asked, he put, I'm excited for the fight. What does it mean for each one if they win? Well, I think we kind of already said, I said Andrea Lee, top 5 in the division if she beats Roxy. I think that she is. The UFC would like to see her become a champion, a title contender. And for Roxy, if she wins, then she stays fighting the top 10 fighters. She's not. I don't think that she'll get a title fight anytime soon. And do we really want to see that fight against Valentina at this point? That's tough, man. But I would love to see Andrea Lee and Valentina Shevchenko fight. I would love to see that fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Andrew Lee would not be afraid of Shevchenko whatsoever,
No.
which is a really kind of a big deal at this point. And I think you answered that question pretty perfectly. When it comes to Roxy, I don't. It just kind of keeps her in that spot. As
Yeah.
for Lee, though, I think a win, even off of the heels of that loss to Lauren Murphy, which debatable, I suppose. Um, she could be, a fight away, get the win here. Then she's a win away from the title shot. She has much, much more to gain, I think, and just more to come out of it. You know what I mean? So I think you summarized that pretty well. Thank you, Alexander.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, look forward to that.
Yep, it's going to be a good fight. Okay, so Carlo Esparza returns. Hopefully. Oh, my goodness.
She's got to wait a little longer.
She is set to fight Reina Rodriguez. It it was moved from July 15th to July 25th due to Rodriguez's cornerman testing positive for COVID-19, which is an absolute bummer. Obviously, both of them want to fight. They want to fight each other.
Rodriguez been itching. She was supposed to fight Claudia.
Yeah. Poor Rodriguez. At this point, I mean, she can't get a fight. Like it just she can't get herself into the octagon at this point.
Well, here's the hoping. Here's the hoping that it does. And does 10 days? Does that seem that seems like a short spread for me, right? Because what?
Well, no,
The
you're
coronavirus lasts 2 weeks,
so you're supposed to
apparently.
quarantine for 14 days, right?
Okay.
So I'm assuming as soon as they found out,
Oh,
which was what day,
okay.
um, it was on Tuesday,
This was like
or
earlier
no,
that. Yeah.
it was on Sunday. Today's Tuesday. It was on Sunday, I think, or something like that. Um, so they quarantine for 14 days afterward. We'll see. We'll see what happens if he still comes out positive. We might not see Rodriguez fight, unfortunately, if he's still positive, unless if she just doesn't bring her trainer in,
Yeah. Exactly. I don't think that this will affect that fight much if it still happens. Just it's kind of an annoying thing for both of them, having to wait. Well, I mean, maybe not. Give them some more prep time. Carla
She
did
just fought.
fight,
Yeah,
yeah, fairly recently, and so yeah, more recovery time for her. She was doing a lot of stuff. I was trying to set something up with her to talk before the fight, and still gonna try to. I have more time to do it now. My fucking internet actually crashed on me when I started my interview with her, which is a
oh,
massive bummer. It was horrible. I was so pissed off. But hopefully, it can reset something up before or after. But yeah, I'm happy that they're trying to rebook it because this is good matchmaking. So it has
yeah.
been good matchmaking. So
Really enjoy this fight. Again, it'll be nice for Marina Rodriguez to actually be able to get in there. Esparza is ranked number 7, and Rodriguez is ranked number 9. So rankings wise, this fight makes complete sense. Carla Esparza is a former champion, and she's looked really good lately.
yeah,
And
she's on a quiet streak.
Yeah,
Very
she
quiet
is.
streak.
Yep. So it's a fun fight, and if you've been paying attention to me at all, I'm a massive fan of Carlos Esparza. I have been for a very, very long time.
One of the best to ever do it at strawweight.
Yep. Okay, so
But oh boy, another oh boy.
yeah, this is an absolute banger for the same division, the strawweight division. Claudia Gadelia will be taking on Yan Xiaonan. Set for September 26th at an event in Las Vegas. I don't know if is Las Vegas confirmed for the September fight.
Yeah, I think so. They just don't know if it's a fight night or a pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So where's Xiaonan right now?
She's in China. I'm pretty sure
So
she should
how
be
is
in
she going to
China.
get to the United States?
That's a great point.
That's exactly what I'm getting at by asking. That's exactly what I was getting at by asking in September in Las Vegas. But do we know if Xiaonan can get to the United States? Because Claudia Gadelia is in the United States. She's not in
Yeah,
Brazil anymore. She's
yeah,
literally living in the United States now.
yeah. She has been for a couple years now.
Right.
Great point, though. Great point. I don't know. She's totally trumped me on that one, but yeah, I believe that she is still in in the Shanghai area. I think that's where she lives. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm assuming if they're assuming that they'll be able to get her there by that time, which please, what a week! What a week for me, though, right? Yan Jiaonan and Kanako Murata, my two ladies,
It's
man,
true.
with some
It's true.
big news. I'm on top of the moon. It's not even a phrase, but I made it up there. Over the moon, that's what it is. But okay, this was I'm gonna research. I'm gonna circle back here. This is why I brought it up. My fear that I had about the Murata signing was so this got announced yesterday, Gedelia and Xiaonan.
Mhm.
And then Murata news I broke on Saturday night. Um, this never even crossed my mind once. Not even, I don't know how it didn't. But, I eventually assumed that Murata would get to the UFC. Never even thought about her versus Zhao Nan. I wouldn't be able to control myself if that ever happened. And then this popped up. I was like, okay, we're good. No
You might actually see
possibility.
that happen later down the line.
Amazing matchup, but I don't want to see them lose. If it happens, it has to be for title. It has to be for the belt. Somebody's gonna be champion. But anyway, as for the Gadelia matchup, I love that too. I love this absolutely so much.
It's a good fight.
Good matchmaking again. Let's see this. Yeah, this was kind of what I was thinking. After Xiaonan beat Carolina, and then Gadelia was matched with Marina Rodriguez.
Yep.
I wanted Xiaonan versus the winner of Gadelia versus Rodriguez, and then the winner of that versus Xiaonan would, face would be worth a title shot at that point. I mean, Xiaonan's won 5 in a row. Gadelia's got 2 in a row now. If she can win this one, it'll be her first 3-fight winning streak since she was undefeated, which is kind of crazy to think about. Very, very, very interesting stylistic matchup. Obviously, Gadelia will have a slight edge when it comes to her grappling. She's not afraid to strike
But
anymore, though.
to
Has
be
solid
honest,
hands.
Claudia hasn't been using her grappling lately.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
Very true.
she's been wanting to fucking stand and bang. So if she stands and bangs with Yan Jianan,
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think that she has obviously Gadelia, this is. I think that she has tightened up that cardio hole,
yeah,
that gas tank issue she kind of had,
yeah,
but
she has.
she still fades a little bit as the fights go on, right? She's not able to go same speed at the beginning as the end. Xiaonan is though. Xiaonan can go full speed the entire fight, and with the kind of arsenal she has, that's a problem if you cannot hang with that. Which I think that makes this fight the most. That's the most interesting part about the fight is Claudia's gonna have to be able to keep up really because man, Xiaonan's getting better every single fight, and oh, she's just so fun to watch. Fucking I can't
I
handle
agree,
it.
and that's why you've been on that hype train. I mean, you were literally one of the first. Even before she got to the UFC.
Hmm.
Um,
Proving me
and,
right.
and it's as far as the rankings go, Gadelia is ranked number 6 and Jianan is ranked number 10. So the only people in between them are Carla Esparza and Marina Rodriguez, who are fighting, and Michelle Watterson, who's at number 8, who is also fighting soon.
Yeah.
So as far as like the rankings go, they're really putting things together where fighters should be fighting the other fighter and giving us really interesting matchups.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to find interesting ones at strawweight, dude. I mean, gosh, I mean,
Yeah, you look at the whole top 15, other than maybe Felice Herrig at number 15. I mean, you start with, of course, Zhang Weili, the champion, Jessica Andrade, and Rose Namajunas, who we will be getting to very soon. Tatiana Suarez. God, I wish she would come back. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, former champion, who just went at it with the fight of the year with the champion. Zhang Weili, Nina Ansaroff, who's pregnant now. Claudia Gadelha, we talked about her. Carla Esparza, we talked about her. Michelle Watterson, Marina Rodriguez, we talked about her. Yan Jianan, we talked about her right now. Tisha Torres, she just fought. Alexa Grasso needs a fight.
She's flyweight, remember? It's fighting Kim. Fighting Kim.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep. And then Amanda Ribas at number 14. She's fighting Paige Van Zandt this weekend. Man, that whole top 14, other than Felice Herrig, very tough fights.
Yep. And this is without mentioning Livia Souza, Jandiroba, and Murata, who we talked about already. There's too much. It's too good. But I want to talk about these two fights that we literally just talked about and are talking about now, though, actually, because let's just assume that Suarez is still kind of out of the picture, right? Don't really have any updates on her. Slow healing, which gotta do what you gotta do. But do we kind of have a mini tournament though? Because you look at winner of this fight, title shot's fine with me. Winner of Esparza versus Rodriguez, I wouldn't be mad at title shot there either. I think winner of this one would deserve it a little bit more, especially if it's Zhao Nan. 6 fights in a row. That's hard to go against. I mean, only one loss her career. Her first loss was in her 3rd fight. But the winners of these 2 fights, should they fight for the next title shot? I mean, think about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they should yet. I think that the winner of Andrade and Namajunas will...
Out there in the picture too. We'll kind of forget about them. God damn it.
When they're on the main card of the...
I know.
The first Fight Island.
That's how good. That's how good strawweight is.
Biggest pay-per-views ever. You know.
How good strawweight is. All right.
For fuck's sake.
Well, okay. This is what I think should happen, which it probably won't happen. But I like the winners of these 2 fights fighting for the title shot.
That would be really interesting if they put the 2 winners of these fights, Gadelha, Zhao Nan, and Carla Esparza and Marina Rodriguez, if they fought that for maybe their next fight being for the champ to fight for the title, but then you have Andrade and Namajunas, who I would think get a title shot. But you can't forget about Joanna Jędrzejczyk because she just went to fucking war with Zhang Weili, and she can make a case for a rematch. That's how good this division is.
There's so many options. There are an endless amount of options. But what I was getting at, though, was winner of Andrade versus Rose rematch. That person fights Suarez. And then...
It just depends on Suarez, though.
Yes. She's kind of the thing here, that the roadblock in all the matchups to be made. Or, I mean, you could even... Joanna seems like she's kind of in a weird spot, waiting now potentially, too. It doesn't seem like they want to do an instant rematch there, which obviously would be really fun to do, but it's like, how many title shots can you give Joanna? Suarez versus Joanna might be the most realistic thing when Suarez comes back. But, God, just talking about this right now makes you think about how absolutely insane strawweight is with all these options, right? I mean, it's really an endless possibilities for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is one of the best divisions in the entire UFC.
Yep.
You know, people give a lot of love to the men's side of things, as far as the divisions and stuff. The lightweight division with all those killers and stuff. But the women's strawweight division is phenomenal, and it deserves respect.
Yeah, won't mind me disagreeing.
Right.
Love that fight. Love that fight. Let's move on.
Yep. Okay, so Submission Underground returns their 16th event with Amanda Lowen taking on Jillian Robertson. That is this Sunday, July 12th. What a fun matchup.
I mean, there's not really a lot to break down when it comes to grappling matches because it's like kind of how are you going to break it down? It's just kind of like I don't think people are training too many game plans or anything like that for the most part. But yes, as we've said in the build up to this, much better matchup than Lowen versus I. Lowen, one of the best that is out there, really, especially in the States right now. She's the female Craig Jones of Submission Underground. So they're looking, see if somebody can defeat her. But as long as they keep pulling people out of MMA that are not strictly jiu-jitsu practitioners, she's not going to lose.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard to get somebody to beat her. But Jillian Robertson, in her last fight, she showed, she's really good on the ground. And I do think that she's better than Jessica Eye on the ground. And Jessica Eye took Lowen to overtime.
Well, don't say that like it was an impressive thing. that was all defense. And so
but that's part of grappling, though.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay, fair enough. But I do think that Robertson is going to put up more of an effort to try and get some offense out there, and it'll probably cost her, and she won't make it overtime. She'll probably get submitted, but her effort will be obvious, and make it a lot more of a fun matchup because the eye match wasn't really fun. It was just eye defending from guard the whole regulation round, and then got taken out in overtime as we expected. Just waited for it. So yeah, no, this one will be a lot more fun. And Lowen was really bummed. She wasn't happy with the win at all because of how unexciting it was. She wanted to actually finish it in regulation, have a good match rather than just a risk control battle, which is what it was essentially. So I expect her to come out big in this one as well. So yeah, it's gonna be better, but still, we know who's coming out on top here. The experience is just not even close, and the size and all of that. Lowen's a featherweight, natural featherweight. Robertson, flyweight. Better than the last one, but is what it is. Love watching me some Amanda Lowen.
Yeah, she's exciting. Jillian Robertson will, like you said, she'll actually put on the offensive more than the defensive than what we saw in Lowen's last match against Jessica Eye. But I wouldn't ever pick against Amanda Lowen at this point. It would be very hard to pick against her. But Jillian Robertson has the skill level to make it a fun matchup, and I think that's what it will be. Is a fun matchup.
Yep, should be good. It's a good follow up to a very good MMA night. Let's put it that way.
Oh boy. UFC 251 Fight Island finally here. We have 3 title fights, but we're not even talking about those fights.
We don't have the title fights on our show, unfortunately, but
we're talking about the bantamweight, Carol Rosa and Vanessa Mallow fighting.
Is Carol Rosa gonna fight? Is she gonna make it? Is somebody gonna slip on a banana peel? She's
I
so
would,
cursed.
yeah, I would assume that she fights, um, and I would assume that this is actually a really entertaining fight.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, did did we already do a breakdown for this fight because it was supposed to happen,
Yeah, it was supposed to
uh,
happen.
or when it was announced? I don't know. We talked about it a little bit. This one, this is essentially do or die. I think for Vanessa Mello. Potentially, I say potentially because she's coming off, those two losses in her first two UFC fights. Obviously, made her UFC debut on short notice against Irene Aldana. Not fair. No one should have to do that, but Vanessa Mello did, and she survived. She got beat up very badly, but she survived to see the final bell. Aldana styled on her as she does to people, and then her second fight was short notice as well against Tracy Cortez. Came in as replacement there, and just couldn't quite get it done. Just in that one as well. And that was no, yeah, that was it, bantamweight. So here we are. Now she's getting Carol Rosa, who has just been so unlucky. Was booked for Julia Avila, which is unlucky by itself to be booked for that matchup. 4 times they were set to fight. Something happened every single time, and it did not happen. I mean, goodness. 4 cancellations. She's had 6 in total in the last so many years.
It sucks.
Boy, made her UFC debut almost a full year ago now. Got that split decision over Lara Procopio. I don't know. Tough last name. But yeah, she got that win. And, I did say potentially back against the wall kind of fight for Mello because of that 2-fight losing streak. Nobody wants to go on a 3-fight losing streak. But because of the situations that Mello was kind of in and stepping up, if she loses, I could see her giving one more chance, depending on how she loses here. And I mean, I do think she'll look better because she's fighting someone who's more on her level, than Aldana, obviously. She's getting more time to actually train for this one. She's got that motivation needs to get a win. I think it'll be very competitive, very fun, pretty close fight. I mean, I think the mentality of these ladies is really going to be the biggest key to victory for this fight because they're pretty evenly matched,
Yeah.
So it's a really tough one to call, but I slightly lean towards Rosa just because I think she's a little bit cleaner in her technique when it comes to striking, and overall, I think the grappling's pretty even in this one for the most part. If we look at the reach advantage here, not too much. They're pretty even fighters, honestly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mello's record doesn't look too great on paper, but
She's fought some really difficult fighters.
Those losses too came earlier on in her career, most of them. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Rosa winning as well. I just think that she's the better fighter out of the two. But Mello, like you said, Mello will probably get one more shot just because she has
been a team player.
Yeah, she's just showed up, and she has showed up, and
the train is back. The first time live we've got the train.
We've done 5 episodes, and this is the first time that fucking train has showed up.
It's a good callback to the early days. Just couldn't wait. It had to show up for Fight Island. It's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, the train's even excited about Fight Island.
But yeah, I think it'll be a split decision. I think it's going to be a close fight.
Yeah.
Rosa, though.
I'm with you.
Yep. But this next fight...
Amanda Ribas.
Oh, shit. What am I doing?
Oh, man. Amanda Ribas returns against Paige Van Zant.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't seen...
Do they not have a picture of Amanda Ribas yet?
It's... They do. It just doesn't seem to be loading. Yeah, they do. It just wasn't loading. It's not loading. All right, well... Poor Ribas. So, this is potentially the last UFC fight of Paige Van Zant's career. Right? I mean, last fight on her contract. And they are not doing her any favors whatsoever. And the funny thing about all of this, I think, is Ribas is a strawweight contender. Paige used to be. She is no longer. She is now a flyweight. But they're like, hey, Amanda, you want to go fight Paige at flyweight just cuz? Just cuz, why not, huh? She's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever. I'm a really nice, fun person,
Yeah.
a great fighter. It seems like they almost want to get rid of Paige and show her, like, you know, hey, we don't need you anymore if you're going to be talking the way you are. And another thing, good Lord, dude, the odds for this, I was very surprised to see how big of an underdog that Paige Van Zant is.
It's pretty wild, actually.
Like, man, I agree that she should be the underdog for sure, but usually
Isn't
the
it
odds
like
makers,
650?
I think it's up to 850, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
last time I saw it was 650. I mean, look, if you're betting, I know that it's really difficult to put money on Paige Van Zant, but if you're betting, like, those are big odds. But also there's a reason why they're so big. But if you're betting, like, why wouldn't you put down, $20 on Paige Van Zant just for the crapshoot?
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, though, like, yeah, usually I feel like the odds makers still give anyone who's ever had the type of hype that Paige did have on her, they give those people respect throughout pretty much their whole career, unless they've really nosedived, off the deep end.
Yeah,
But Paige, I wouldn't say she's done that yet. So that's why this is so surprising and really shows the respect that people have given Hebus, which
absolutely.
is
Yep.
maybe too much. I think that she's absolutely going to win this fight. Don't get me wrong, just to throw that out there. But wow, like, really giving her a whole lot of respect, which, yeah, it's cool. I like to see that. People who deserve their respect should get it. So good for her. But gosh, it's just a tough fight for PVZ, man. I mean, she's what does she have on Rebus? Maybe better wrestling, just like pure wrestling. But then she goes for that, she's gonna be in trouble of some jujitsu. Get submitted
Mhm.
on the feet. Hebus is an absolute fucking flamethrower, dude. She's just scorching people right now. I mean, I could not even her wrestling. I look back at the Randa fight, her last fight.
Yeah,
Stunningly was unable to finish Randa, who was just incredibly tough. So I guess that's not surprising. But just the beatdown she put on her, which that's surprising because Randa never gets beat up as badly. That was the worst loss probably of her career. That wasn't a finish. And just the control on the ground and pound, just vicious everywhere, man. Hebus has shown to be really a total package, and her top control lethal in that fight, particularly against Randa, who was no slouch on the ground. Especially with her offensive wrestling and somebody who would give Paige a run for her money. That's always been a matchup that has eluded Randa. So, man, maybe the odds are fair. The more that you look at it, it's like, I don't know. I think Paige's best chance would be to like catch a submission or something, but against Hebus, who's so savvy in that area as well, man, it's a rough out. It is a rough out.
I think
There's
this
no other
is.
way to put it.
I think this is a get the fuck out of our promotion fight.
Go to Bellator.
I mean, you keep talking about
With your
fucking money,
husband.
and you keep talking about making more money with doing your sponsorships on Instagram and stuff. Well, here's Amanda Ribas, and get the fuck out. Because I mean, Ribas is gonna. It's gonna be a brutal beating.
Do you think that if Paige ends up winning, in any fashion,
Uh-huh.
well, no, I guess if Paige wins impressively, because if she wins just like really closely or something boring like that somehow,
Yeah.
they'll probably still let her walk. But if she wins impressively, are they going to shell out the dough to try and keep her?
I mean, how could you not when
Yeah.
she's incredibly marketable? I mean, she's incredibly marketable. For all the hate that she gets, it's not because of her fighting. Because honestly, she's a pretty decent fighter.
Yeah, people forget that she's not like the worst fighter ever.
She's not. She absolutely isn't. Um, for all the hate
She
that
just
she
didn't live up
gets,
to the hype.
it's because of her whole nude thing with Austin Vanderford, her husband, on Instagram. It's to be honest, it's a lot of like hate,
Outside stuff, outside
hate
fighting.
that has absolutely nothing to do with the fighting, her fighting. Um, it might even be jealousy. Uh, People don't like to see other people do well. Paige is doing fine. Um, she's doing fine on her own. She has said that. As a matter of fact, this past week, she said that uh, she would get paid more doing a normal job rather than fighting. Um, Most of her money comes from her Instagram and from her sponsorships and stuff like that. Um, but I think that her fighting is being forgotten because because she gets injured. We haven't seen her fight for quite some time. Um, but she's actually a really good fighter. She's really good
And still young, obviously.
and still extremely young, right? So again, that 850 isn't a bad bet. Um, do I see Paige winning? Absolutely not. But if you're going to throw in a little bit of money, and the
Why
odds
not?
are so far apart between the two, why wouldn't you put some money on Paige Van Zandt at this point?
Yeah, and then there's also, hey, the maybe the I was gonna say maybe the weight factor could help her a little bit, but I mean, Hebus will be more comfortable not cutting weight too, I would imagine. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see, we'll see. But
So
how
we
about
both
this
have
though?
previous winning.
Yeah, I think Hebus with first round submission. Honestly, maybe second. I could see second round, but not the third. She'll get it done in one of the first two.
Yeah.
Maybe a TKO. I could see any possible
Any kind of
finish.
finish.
Really, just
Right. With
yeah.
her striking on the ground, ground and pound mauling. Again,
Yep.
anything can happen with Hebus. But the
Yep.
disrespect of not having her picture when she's a
I
ranked fighter.
I'm assuming it's just not loading for some reason, but oh well, we'll see about Rose and Andrade. They better have both of theirs. Okay, maybe they're just being rude to Evas.
That
But
ain't right.
there we go. We can move
Okay,
on.
so man, the return of Rose Namajunas against the woman that slammed her on her head, Jessica Andrade. And this is
It's
a
happening.
main card fight.
It's the fight before the title
Before the
fights. This was
three title fights, right?
supposed to be the co-main event for 249,
Yep.
and everything unfolded the way it did. Good golly, I mean, it's just so interesting, dude. This rematch is so interesting. So many things about it. They both haven't fought since losing their titles.
Yeah.
For Rose, that was obviously against Andrade. For Andrade, that was very shortly after winning that fight and then losing to Whaley in, what was it, 40 seconds? 42 seconds? Yep. So yeah, both looking to rebound off of uniquely rough losses, very uniquely, some of the craziest losses that you'll probably see. And after just such a unique fight as well. I mean, said it when we recapped that fight back after it happened, a year ago now or whatever. Man, that first round that Rose had was one of the best rounds I think a fighter, could have possibly ever had. Just phenomenal, just perfect. She looked better than ever, and she lost the fight. She looked probably the best she has ever looked, and she did not end up winning the fight, which is one of the craziest things about it. So it's like, what does she do this time to win? Does she change anything? Well, let go of the Kimura in defense of a slam. That's number one, obviously, because very possible you could get in that situation again. She defended one before, and it worked out, and that's probably why she continued on with it in the second, attempt, and it cost her dearly, brutally. So I think that honestly, Andrade is probably the one who has to change up her game plan and approach more than Rose does for this rematch, because Andrade, she changed her game plan for this fight from what we typically see from her. She's usually that bulldozer, gets in your face, just female John Lineker's you, right? Just the bulldozer, the pile driver. That's her nickname, right? She didn't do that against Rose in the first round, and it wasn't a good idea. She would try to play it more cautious to try and pace herself out for 5 rounds after having experienced those first 5 rounds against Joanna. The years prior, where she did her normal game plan of trying to bulldoze a little bit. Didn't work out, so she tried to pace herself in the Rose fight. Well, that did not go well. So, does she go back to doing what she did? I mean, that when she did kick it into high gear and get in Rose's face, that led to her getting the slam and winning the fight. So if she just puts on full aggression, is that the way to go? But then you look at the Whaley fight, and she did that there. It cost her very, very badly, So,
and it was so quick too.
It was so quick, but the thing is, I don't think that Rose will be able to replicate that kind of incredible counterattack that Whaley was able to do in that short distance and time. Just everything about that fight that it was. I don't know, man. It's really tough for me to pick with these variables. Obviously Andrade should probably try and get things down. She always goes for the high amplitude takedowns. Why not try it again? Give Rose some flashbacks. She's probably, how can you not have flashbacks of that moment?
Yeah.
Her mental game. She was considering, maybe retiring after that loss. She's always, since being champion, she didn't really like being champion. It was a really weird thing for her,
Yeah, she felt like it was kind of holding her back, weighing her down.
Yeah. So it's just so many reasons that make this rematch so unique and interesting, dude. If I have to pick though, I just think that Rose, if I'm gonna look off of that first round, that first fight specifically, she just had much more time of success compared to Andrade. So seeing that and her ability to have more time being successful, I have to pick her again. But
yeah, Rose Namajunas, her striking was absolutely phenomenal in that first round, and then in the second round, all the way up until she got picked up and slammed down. The first round was just a beautiful striking clinic by Rose Namajunas. It was, quite frankly, it was a master class, that first round. But
and when it's that good, it makes it so hard, right? When it was that impressive, you're like, holy shit.
But then again, like Andrade just has that strength, and
it's such a big factor.
And if she goes in on Rose Namajunas, will she be able to pick her up and slam her down again? Like you said, that's got to be kind of weighing in the back of Namajunas' head. I would think that it is, but I would also think that she has worked to knowing that could quite possibly happen. So I think that a lot of people say that Rose Namajunas is kind of weak-minded. I don't believe that one bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna pick Rose Namajunas.
It's the how though. It's like, I don't know how either of them.
I
It's
think that
hard to
she's the
make a
better
prediction for
fighter.
how. Overall, yeah.
Like
I
overall, I
think
think
that is
that
the
Rose
same.
Namajunas is the better fighter.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
how, I don't know how this fight's gonna go, because Rose hasn't fought in so long, and we saw kind of a freakish finish to the last time that she fought, which unfortunately was against Andrade in the title fight. But then we saw Andrade fight since then, and she got finished very quickly. I don't see Namajunas finishing Andrade as quick as Wiley did, but I can see Rose finishing the fight.
Yeah, I mean, if things would have continued to look that way and she avoided that slam, it was looking like she was on her way to maybe getting like a fourth round or something, because she had Andrade hurt pretty badly in the first round.
Yeah, she was beaten.
So
She was beaten to shit. Like she was getting pieced up.
yeah, it was rough. It was a rough first round for the Brazilian. I love it though. I love this rematch. It's so interesting, and we're not even considering the fact that Andrade does have power in her hands, and she did land on Rose when she went
Yes,
to get in on those
power.
takedowns. She does land those haymakers.
She does.
So I don't know. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to process. I I think I'll just say decision. Rose unanimous. When we have only 3 rounds here too, so that I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is a 3-round fight.
Yeah, so I'll say Rose unanimous decision, but
Yeah,
oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited
I
for it,
agree.
for this
I
whole
mean,
card.
I can see either of them. I can see either of them winning, but
Yep, yep.
I lean Rose Namajunas just because of what we saw in the first round. If she sticks to that game plan, ooh man,
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder what the odds are for this one too.
I haven't looked at the odds yet. Um,
Uh,
for this whole card, I haven't looked at the odds at all, which is pretty surprising for myself. I don't know.
Got a comment here from Alexander. Says this is the fight he's most excited for this year. Which the whole year, man, that's kind of a big, that's a big
And
claim
there's
there. I
3
mean, I love it.
championship fights before it. We have
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. We have Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. The return of Max Holloway.
We have Yuri.
And then we have Jose Aldo fighting for a title again against Peter Yan and Yuri Prochazka. My goodness, this card.
So much goodness.
Yeah,
So
if there's a card where I masturbate to,
this will be it.
this is the one.
We went there. We went there right at the end. You couldn't believe it. What a finish, Steven. Jesus. That's hilarious. Yeah, but I am very excited for it as well, Alexander. Thank you so much for tuning in,
Yes,
sir.
thank you.
And everyone else who has so far for tonight,
Or who will watch it.
or who will. Thanks anybody who's checking us out. So yeah,
As Drake and I were saying earlier, our last episode was the most watched since we've returned. Hopefully this one just keeps on piling up with the viewers.
yeah. Keeping on. But I think that about does it for this one, my man. Right? I mean, we should wrap it up here. Getting a
Yep.
little hungry, of course, and we haven't been plugging ourselves very well. Have you noticed this? You haven't been
Yeah,
telling
no,
the people to follow us.
Yours is literally right there.
I got mine up, but yours is just your name. You gotta
Yeah, I
change it.
mean, at Steve K underscore MMA on Twitter. Instagram is Steve K MMA. I used to be at Steve K MMA until I got suspended on Twitter and I can't get my account back. Fuck Fight TV, by the way.
Perfect. And obviously, you can follow me there at Drake Riggs underscore. That is mine on Twitter and Instagram as well. Follow the Scrap, which has been kind enough to
Yes.
host our podcast at the Scrap News
Thank you
on
so much,
Twitter.
Scrap News.
Obviously subscribe. You can subscribe to my channel, which is just my name, Drake Riggs. You can subscribe to Steve's channel, which he's got MMA Inc. And is there some more you got there?
No, it's just that one.
Just that one?
MMA
Okay.
Inc. YouTube. That's where I talk to fighters about their tattoos. Inc. MMA Inc.
Yeah. But I think that about does it. I have things that I'm working on, but I'm keeping them quiet. Very excited to get them out though. But as for upcoming things within this week, I don't think there's anything that I can think of. But there are things definitely happening. So stay tuned, everybody.
Yep.
And yeah,
Thank you so much for watching.
see you
Have
next
fun
week.
at Fight Island, baby.
UFC. UFC.
UFC.